Hello, and welcome back to What If Ash was born in Hoenn. After beating Rock, he would exit from the Oreburg gym, and then he would go back to Jubilife City to go to the next route in the next city. Him, Brawley, and Dawn would be exploring Jubilife City for the last time before they leave, as then they would see Professor Rowan being apprehended by a duo of Team Galactic grunts after his research. Ash and Dawn, seeing the situation, would immediately send out their two Pokemon, Phanpy and Piplup. The two grunts would send out Wurmple and Zubat. Phanpy would use Rollout, which would take down Zubat, as Piplup would continuously use Bubble Beam, would then pound Wurmple down with a Pound Attack, which would knock out both Pokemon. After that, BB would come up to Ash and Dawn and would give them Poké stickers, for the ball capsules. Since she was impressed with how they battled, Dawn would immediately take them, as Ash wouldn't be interested, knowing that these would help her in her contests. The events of the next contest, with Dawn meeting her old friend, would go the same. As then, the duo would run into Brian and Ryan. Ash and Dawn would use Phanpy and Piplup against Brian and Ryan's Croconaw and Quilava. Phanpy and Quilava would go head-to-head, Rollout and Flame Rolls being traded all over the battlefield. Phanpy would use an Earthquake, which would do a lot of damage, which would then send Quilava flying, as it would use a flamethrower. Phanpy would then crash into Quilava with a Rollout, as Quilava would do the same with a Flame Wheel. After the dust was settled, Phanpy would be standing. Piplup would engage with Croconaw in a battle of water starters. Piplup would use Pound and Bubble Beam, which would do nothing to the more evolved and superior Pokemon. Croconaw, which would use Hydro Pump, and Ice Punch, which would send Piplup flying. Ash, realizing the situation, would command for Phanpy to use an Earthquake, which would send Croconaw flying, knocking it out. After that, they would make their way to Floroma Town, where Brawley would notice Team Galactic grunts all over the city, trying to do something. They would decide to go to the Valley Windworks to go and apprehend them. They would explore Route 205, where they would find a Team Galactic grunt. Intrigued in what he was doing there, they would go and talk to him, as he would say, we are going to get energy in this area. You will not interrupt Team Galactic business. Ash, annoyed and wanting to know what they were doing, knowing they are up to no good, would then send out Staravia against the grunt's Glamiel. Glamiel would try use Fury Swipes and Tackle to do decent damage, but Staravia would just avoid all of the moves, did it with one wing attack, knocking it out. The grunt would say, even if I wanted to, I won't give you the key, because I don't have it. My buddy over there in Floroma Town has it if you want it. I doubt you'll ever get it. Realizing what he had to do, Ash would fly on Staravia and would go and defeat the Team Galactic grunt with a quick wing attack. He would defeat the Wurmple, as then he would send out his Cascoon. Cascoon would use Poison Sting, which would be avoided by Staravia. Staravia would use Wing Attack, which would do a lot of damage. Cascoon would try to use a tackle, but because it's a cocoon, it wouldn't be too fast, as Staravia would easily avoid and would finish off with an air release. After that, Ash would quickly go and get the key and would make his way into Valley Windworks, where he would easily mop the floor with every grunt until he would make his way to Mars. She would say, what is the champion of Hoenn doing in Sinnoh? This isn't your territory. What's happening now? Is Cynthia not woman enough to fight her own battles and getting Hoenn's champion to go and deal with her own region's problems? Anyway, who cares? I'm not gonna let you get in the way of Team Galactic business. Go, Zubat. As Ash would use his Fampi. Fampi would use Rollout and would easily take down Zubat. But then Mars would smile and would say, this is the end of the road. Go, Perugly. Fampi would try use Earthquake and Rollout, but it would do absolutely nothing to the big fat massive cat, as it would then use a Body Slam and a Slash, which would do a lot of damage. Fampi would try using Earthquake, but all it would do would just scratch the buff cat, as it would then run towards the small elephant and would scratch it with a Slash, knocking it out. Then, Ash, realizing that Perugly was beyond the level of Staravia, he would send out his Aggron, as Aggron would then use a Metal Claw, one Metal Claw, and then Perugly would just faint instantly. Mars would then say, I'd expect nothing less from Hoenn's champion. Anyway, do not get in the way of us starting our new universe. We will leave fools like you behind. And she would then leave. After that, Ash would make his way to Route 205, where he would then go to the Eterna Forest, where he would encounter a Budu. He would send out Fampi, which would use Rollout. And then the weakened Budu would easily be subdued by Ash's Pokeball as he would throw it, catching Budu. Ash would then explore Eterna Forest, where he would meet Cheryl, who would also be exploring the forest. Ash, Brawly, and Dawn would introduce themselves to Cheryl, saying that they were going to Eterna City, and Cheryl would decide to guide them there. On their way, they would find a tall, beautiful woman with brown hair exploring the area herself. Ash would ask her who she is, and she would say, oh, hello, Ash, champion of Hoenn. I am Gardenia, gym leader of Eterna City. What brings you here? And Ash would say, oh, you're the gym leader, huh? Okay, give me my gym battle now. Ready to get into a gym battle and win his badge instantly. Gardenia would say, okay, let's do it. She would send out her Turtwig as Ash would send out his Budu, wanting to win, wanting to test out his new Pokemon. Budu would use a Solar Beam, which would do decent damage to Turtwig, as Turtwig would come charging in with a takedown, which would do decent damage to Budu, but would cause recoil damage. Budu would use Poison Powder, which would poison Turtwig, as then Turtwig would then charge in. I would use a Razor Leaf, which would do decent damage to Budu, but Budu would then avoid a lot of the leaves and would then use a Sludge Bomb, which would do decent damage to Turtwig. Turtwig would then use a Solar Beam that would be avoided by Budu, which would use a Stun Spore, which will affect Turtwig. Then Turtwig would begin huffing and puffing with scratches all over it, as would be damaged from the battle. Turtwig would then get super pumped and determined to win for its trainer, that would begin glowing. Turtwig would grow in size, its shell would expand. In the bright blue light, its head would grow, its body would grow until it grew into a massive turtle. And then it would roar, Grotto! As then the light would disperse, and standing right in front of Ash and Badu would be a Grotto. Grotto would come in with a rock climb which would send Badu flying. Badu would try to use a solar beam, but the evolved grass type would easily avoid it. I would use an earthquake which would send Badu crashing back, knocking it out. Gardenia would then say, wow, you put up a decent fight, but you're gonna need more than that to beat our Sinnoh gym leaders. As then, she would leave. Ash would decide to continue doing some training in Eterna Forest, as he would send out Fampi to help train Badu. Both young Pokemon would train and train and train for days on end, until they sharpened their battle skills and instincts. Ash would then go to Eterna City, where he would heal his Pokemon and explore the place, looking for the gym. The moment he found it, he would barge in, I would say, Gardenia, I'm ready for the rematch. Which would intrigue Gardenia, as she would say, okay, let's see how you fare against me this time. I should send out Badu, as she would send out Grotto. Badu, learning from the last battle, knowing Grotto's weakness was being its speed, would use poison powder, which would poison Grotto. As Grotto was afflicted by the poison, Badu would quickly launch a flurry of sludge bombs to do a lot of damage and solar beams. As then Grotto, after a little bit of damage, would respond with a powerful earthquake, which would do a lot of damage. Badu would then charge forward and would try a tackle, which would do decent damage. As then the bigger turtle Pokemon would respond with a rock climb, sending Badu flying. Every time Badu hit with a tackle, Grotto would hit back with twice the force. It would be obvious to everybody there that Grotto was the stronger and more experienced Pokemon, and that eventually it will win. But not for a second did Badu give in. Badu would be on the brink of collapsing, tired, breathing heavily. But then Ash would say, Badu, I believe in you. Come on, I know we can do this. We trained all of those days for this moment. Come on, I believe in you, buddy. Badu would look at Grotto, which would stare it down in a cocky way. Badu would feel inspired by Ash's motivation, as it would then begin to glow. It would grow in size as flowers would begin to sprout all around it, as it would grow taller, as it would evolve into Rosalia. Ash would then say, you evolved! Yes! Now, Badu, use Razor Leaf. This would hit Grotto for a lot of damage. Grotto would try use an earthquake, but Rosalia would know exactly what to do. It would jump up and it would use a magical leaf, which would do decent damage. Grotto would then charge him with a rock climb, which would do decent damage, as then the smarter and evolved Rosalia would respond with an acid, which would do decent damage too. This would go on for a while, until it would be a clash between Solar Beam and Solar Beam. The clash would get so intense, Grotto would even begin using its Overgrow ability. But then, Ash would say, Rosalia, I believe in you. Let's go. And then Rosalia would scream, Rosalia! And its solar beam would blast through bottles, sending it crashing through the gym, knocking it out. Gardenia would say, amazing, but this is the end of the line now. Go Roserade. It would be Rosalia against its evolved form. But the thing is, Roserade would be weaker than Grottle, as Grottle had evolved. Roserade would start off with a sludge bomb, which would hit Rosalia, but Rosalia would charge through and would use a sludge bomb of its own. Rosalia would then use a magical leaf, which would do decent damage, as then Roserade would use a magical leaf of its own. This would go on for a while, as both Pokemon would continuously use magical leaf and sludge bomb. But then Rosalia would charge through with a tackle, which would do decent damage to Roserade, as then Roserade would try use a solar beam, as then Rosalia would charge through and would use another tackle, which would hit Roserade. Roserade, realizing that if it kept going on the defensive, it was eventually going to lose, would begin using tackle after tackle, and would begin using sludge bomb after sludge bomb. This would turn into a battle of offensive flowers, as both Pokemon would be trying to use tackle and sludge bomb to hurt each other. But then, both Pokemon were tired. Ash would call for Rosalia to use a solar beam, as Gardenia would do the same with her Roserade. Both attacks would collide, and unlike before, it would cause an explosion. The explosion would blow all the trees and the two Pokemon away, as then, when the dust settled, it would be revealed. Rosalia had tied with its evolution, and both were knocked out. Impressed, Gardenia would say, take this, as she would give Ash the badge and would say, you are an impressive trainer. I've never seen a trainer advance so quickly in just a few days. Anyway, you are Hoenn's champion, so it's expected that you're powerful and a very talented trainer. Anyway, let me give you a gift that might help you in the future, as she would give Ash a shiny stone. I would say, one day it might come in handy for you and Rosalia, as then Ash would leave the gym. Okay, everyone. I really enjoyed making this part, and I took a month hiatus because I was kind of running out of ideas, and I needed to focus on school and, other stuff, so I took a break. Anyway, now I'm back and I'm going to continue my schedule. I'll see you guys later. Bye.